4 areas inside of the Big Beautiful Bill that literally say no courts can review actions. They take place when rapidly deploying things like pipelines with their rapid approval process. The second deals with review. So the other one deals with the Environmental Protection Agency when it decides to make these decisions, particularly in the areas like the Alaska National Refuge, as well as the most important area, the one that a lot of people are talking about, and that is with the court being able to place people like Donald Trump and his administration who are about to be held in contempt of court. The reason why the Big Beautiful Bill will fundamentally be held unconstitutional by any judge that looks at the current bill as it is written is very simple. It takes the power of judicial review away from judges, particularly when they decide to put in gigantic oil fields and gas and mining. Right? No judicial review. Some people may sit there and think, well, no, that's going to just allow things to happen. But you know what happens when they just basically get rid of judicial review and it's basically whatever decision the government has that you don't get to take it to court? That's kind of enormous. That's the biggest problem of the bill that exists. And that is Donald Trump's predisposition to try to take away any government power or court power to resist him. And again, there are 4 times inside of the Big Beautiful Bill where it literally eliminates judicial authority to review the government and to prove things that it's doing is unconstitutional. The biggest problem is kind of like what we're having, right, with all these people, all these illegal immigrants or whatever, these people that they said were illegal, and they sent them off to El Salvador and Sudan and Libya, or trying to do that sort of stuff, and just like completely discarding people's constitutional rights. When it comes to things like putting in pipelines with no judicial review, let me explain this to you what will happen. It deals with the property you own. You see, the government, before taking your property, has to pay you. It has to compensate you. You have to be able to sit there and say, you have to agree to them taking your home from you. But if your backyard happens to have some oil in it and they decide to put an oil rig into your backyard, and there'll be no judicial review, which means no ability for you to be able to say, constitutionally, you can't put the pipeline and the oil rig in my backyard. I don't like the smell of the oil that's coming out of the ground. The stuff that's coming out of the ground might be causing me cancer, might be killing me. Or hell, maybe it actually does. They put it in there, you try to resist, and you get killed. No judicial review. Right? No judicial review. That's what's in the bill 4 times. That's huge. It's why it'll be held unconstitutional. Because the moment that this bill is challenged in the courts, there isn't a judge that will exist that will sit there and look at this bill and say, okay, so what you're telling me as a judge is I don't get to say something is unconstitutional? I don't get to say what you're doing is wrong? I'm supposed to surrender my power as a judge to say something is constitutional or not, something is criminally wrong or civilly wrong, that you would like to be able to sue them, you would like to be able to sue the oil company or the gas company or the mining company or any of the companies, right? You don't get to do that. You don't have access to courts, because that's exactly what it says. You can scan it yourself. All you have to do is call up the bill and type in 2 words, no court. And you'll see it 4 times. The Big Beautiful Bill is fundamentally unconstitutional, and no judge in their right mind is going to allow it to stand, particularly those provisions where they are literally saying it is no judicial review. They'll shred the whole damn thing to nothing, because it is taking away the power, the complete power of the judiciary to review this bill, which means to review these actions, which will mean it will be held unconstitutional, which means it will not exist. That's the biggest fundamental problem of the bill. It's saying that if courts literally say, they're saying, if you say that the government is committing a crime against you, no, can't do that. Oh, you've been financially wounded because they just decided to take your property because they want to put oil fields there. No. They just want to seize it with no judicial review and no judges being in contact with this. What will happen is your property is gone. Because if you don't have access to the courts, none of your rights exist. Donald Trump is completely and utterly against your fundamental basic right to to have the government be checked by the courts if they defy your rights. It literally is in the bill. What they want, and that, just remember this, every single person in Congress voted for this bill. Every Republican voted. The 215 Republicans, they were all, they're all the Republicans. The Republicans voted for this. The Republicans voted in 4 different situations to take your right to go to a judge and say the government is doing something wrong. And it's 4 times in the bill. The link to the bill is below. You just have to download it and search no judge. Thank you. No court. Sorry, no court. Thank you. So when I just told you that the big beautiful bill, H.R. 1, is unconstitutional because it is taking away judicial review in multiple places. So I'm just going to be here at the bill, because this is the whole thing, all 118 pages. No court. That's what you type in. Notice this, there are 4 places where it says no court. This is number 1. This is the area that deals with the permitting process on 260. No court shall have jurisdiction to review claims with respect to the approval of a covered application of federally authorized under this paragraph, under Chapter 7 of the United States Code, later in 180 days after such approval. In other words, they just don't want the courts to say that what they did was wrong with regard to the approval, these rapid approval of all of these oil and gas and pipelines. Next one. This is restraining of funds. This is the area where people are saying is them protecting Trump. It's more than just protecting Trump. It's protecting the government because they want to change the nature of the courts so that the courts can't review things because the courts are killing them. This one is about no court of the United States may use approved funds to enforce contempt, citations, or failure to comply with injunctions or temporary restraining orders if no security was given. In other words, if you don't have the money to be able to put up a security, you can't have it. In other words, if you're broke, no. And they put the pipelines in, and they want to dig coal because it's on your property, no hope. No judicial review. What they say is law. You don't get to go to the courtroom even if they steal your property. Now let me be clear about that one. In general, except provisions under paragraph 2, no court shall have jurisdiction to review any action taken by the Secretary of the Administration of the Environmental Protection Agency or state or municipal governments administering the agency or any other federal agency pursuant to this law. Restraining lease the paragraph grants of the right of. So, in other words, grants for use of right-of-way, easements, authorization permits, verification, biological options. In other words, basically, they want to be able to take your damn property without you being able to go to a court. Number 4. This is the other one, except in other provisions. Federal law grants others right of way. Secretary of the this deals with the Secretary of Interior. So it's the Secretary of the Interior, the Secretary of the Environmental Protection Agency. Can't review. If they take your crap, if they take your land, no ability to stand up and say, please don't do this. They are literally saying in this law that they're trying to destroy basic judicial review. This is completely and utterly unconstitutional, and it's why this entire bill will die. Because you can't take away judicial review, and if it doesn't, your property, your home, doesn't mean shit anymore. It belongs to Trump and the government if they just write their pen across it and they put a oil well in your backyard. I really hope that you find that stuff informational. And if you do, and you think that my work is something you would like to support, please like, subscribe, and share and comment on this video. We really need to have these big discussions about the issues of restoring ethics and honor to Washington, D.C. That's why I made the little book, which is really, it's not like a legendary writing. It's just my concepts of the basic laws that we need and the constitutional challenges that we need, that we create legal, constitutional, enforceable standards in Washington, D.C. for basic ethic requirements, which right now we are completely absent of. But we can get there if we work together and realize that ethics and honor are things above party. So long as we do that, we can end the swamp together, because everyone wants the swamp gone. And we can do so as Americans upholding the values of the Constitution and not a bunch of bickering children. So please, again, like, share, and subscribe and comment. Thank you.